All right, Sistas fans, the mid-season finale, season 4, episode 11, Fine Wine, pretty much tasted like a can of flat soda. Originally, I was going to give the episode a 4 out of 10, but after doing the live stream last night, I think it was during the live stream I changed my score, and I even put it on Twitter. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10, and even then, I thought the 4 was being generous, but then when I spoke out loud and read the comments during the live about the episode, I'm like, it don't even deserve a 4. And then I saw people giving it like a 1, a 0.5, a 0, and yeah, this episode won't it. Now, don't get me wrong. Last week's episode I thought was just plain awful because there was just way too much time dedicated to the Maurice and Calvin and Q crap. This week it was there. I don't know. It was there, but technically if you combine Calvin's interruption of the date and then the Maurice and Calvin scene and then the Maurice and Q scene, it's probably not as long, but it was still, it just ate away at the time. There was just so much crap. Don't get me wrong, even the Karen stuff, as annoying as it was, I'd rather see that than the Q crap because I don't understand Tyler Perry's reasoning of keeping this character around in a storyline. It just makes everybody look stupid. I knew last week I didn't like the episode, and based on the momentum of that episode combined with the trailer for the mid-season, I wasn't looking forward to it. But then, what was it, what's today, Thursday? Was it Tuesday or Monday, basically Monday or Tuesday, when Crystal did that interview with TV Line? And from there were all these photos, of her with the baseball bat, and then going in the house and seeing Hayden and Gary. And I'm like, that photo alone, I'm like, okay, you know what? You got me. I'm going to watch this mid-season finale. But then you got the scene where, she has a bat pointed at Gary. You got that photo that was getting a lot of traction where Zach and Fatima are embracing each other and Fatima looks so depressed. There was so much shit that I'm like, okay, I gotta see this. But then when we get to the actual episode, the Fatima bit was all but, I don't even think it was 2 minutes long. They wait till the very end of the episode to have Fatima pull up behind Hayden's car. I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was pretty sexy the way she took that bat and he just kind of, rubbed it against the hood of the car before, hitting it. And I'm just like, that's it? Don't get me wrong, after reading the behind the scenes when Crystal explained the car wrecking scene, breaking the windows and whatnot, about how dangerous it is despite the fact that it's, not exactly real glass, but you could still get hurt. And then, doing all that in heels and running behind Hayden and whatnot. So I appreciate the work behind it, but it felt extremely lackluster due to the fact that they plugged it at the tail end of the episode. Now, originally, I thought, yeah, this is definitely going to be at the last part of the episode. But after all those promo photos came out, I'm like, okay, so maybe the Hayden stuff happens around the midway point, like at 9:30, and then as the episode goes on, like 9:45, that's when it's like, oh yeah, Hayden and Gary are found out by Fatima, and then at the very end of the episode, that's when Fatima goes back to Zach's house and finds out about the whole baby situation. But no, this episode was trash. It was, and thankfully, I think maybe only one person I saw in the live comments when I read through the comments after the video was over. One person was like, y'all always complaining like y'all could do better. Look, Tyler Perry's doing this thing. He's the billionaire. I'm not. But I feel like every single person who watched that episode last night could have written a stronger script. Because we spent way too much time on the Andy Gary bullshit. It's just the same old, same old. Calvin telling Maurice to let Q in, and then Maurice doing it, and then this fool taking what? It felt like 7 minutes of Maurice and Q, Maurice letting him back in, telling him you can sleep on the couch, and then the whole shower thing. It took like 7 minutes. Q getting undressed, going into the bathroom, acting like he can't find it. So ain't nobody trying to see that bullshit. We want to get to the Fatima and Zach stuff. I know this isn't the Zatima show, but that's the main reason everybody watches. But still, this was stupid. This was a shit episode to end on when we have to wait until June 29th. Like I said, I'm glad the show's taking an extended hiatus. I think we need a break. But at least give us something halfway decent. That's why I said, you know what, even though season 3 of The Oval is crap, at least the last couple episodes have been halfway decent. I thought this week's episode was pretty good, and I'm actually looking forward to the season finale of The Oval. And I just hope in season 4, since season 3 set the bar so damn low, season 4 will look like, you know, apple cider compared to the, you know, just trash that season 3 is in itself. But I don't know, guys. I don't think I'm being too hard on it because of the fact that everybody seems to agree, you know, on Twitter, you know, on the live stream. This was just disappointing, and I think people said it best. A few people were like, Tyler knows his fan base. Tyler knows that his fans are going to come back and watch more, which is, you know, hey, when you got people on lock, you got them on lock. But at the same time, fam, you got a long break. You oughta give us a halfway decent episode. I mean, this is the sad part for me. This week's episode and last week's episode I felt were the worst of season 4. Season 4, like I said time and time again, I think it's fantastic because a lot of things that Tyler didn't say he said he wouldn't do were implemented. You know, the cast request, you know, fan request on improvement. You know, he's delivered on a lot of promises, but when it came to this mid-season finale, remember when the first Suicide movie came out back in, like, what was it, 2016 or something? I forgot what year it came out. The one with Will Smith, Deadshot, not Idris Elba as Bloodsport, but Jared Leto, I think is his name. He played the Joker, and in the promos, the trailer for the movie, there were a lot of Joker, you know, a lot of Joker and Harley scenes. And then when the movie came out, he was barely in it, and I think there was this one fan who was suing like WB like $1 million or something like that, basically saying the false advertising, getting people to go see a movie, and then one of the main characters that's heavily promoted is barely in the film at all. That's how I felt going into this. After I watched this episode, I'm like, you built up all the Fatima stuff, the Gary and Hayden, and then going to see Zach, but none of that made it to the final cut of the episode. This was just a clear ploy to get people to watch the episode for ratings, and I just feel robbed, you know. And it's sad because I'm almost 8 minutes into this video and I've barely talked about the episode itself, because guess what, folks, you could completely skip this episode and not miss everything. Oh, well, I don't want to miss the Fatima stuff. Guess what? It was all in the promo for the episode. If you watch the promo where she's busting the windows out of the car and Hayden's like, wait. And then you saw the photos of Fatima running him in the house, and then Gary's there. You saw the moment everybody wanted to see. I did enjoy the Jake and Zach scene, but that scene did not need to be chopped up. Basically, you know, you got them standing outside of the jail, and then it gets to the point where Zach is admiring Jake's car in the same way he was admiring Gary's ride at the basketball court. Then we go to commercial break, and then strangely, for some weird reason, we go to Bio and Sabrina's date. Then we go over to the penthouse, and then that's like 15 minutes later, we get back to Jake and Zach, and it seems like we're literally right in the same point of the conversation they were in the first time, where it's like, I can tell this, what was that T-Pain song, Chopped and Screwed? That was this episode. I feel like it was diced up in places. It did not need to be cut up. And as a result, we got some kind of Frankenstein mess that I wouldn't even call anything less than a piss poor mid-season finale. So, I'll break down the episode if you want me to right now, but to be honest, ain't shit to it. Okay. So, Calvin's just showing his ass. You know, Bio, you know, says, this is my restaurant, and then Calvin's like, hold up, I'm not talking to you. And I'm like, first of all, Bio, you could have shut this shit down right then and there, you know, just got rid of Calvin, because again, if you watch the promo, oh, he got money. That's pretty much it. You know, Calvin goes into the whole, I knew something was wrong because you just canceled out of the blue, and yet you came to the place that I wanted to take you. Even though this was the place that Sabrina said she didn't want to go to due to the fact that she got embarrassed the last time, you know, she went with Calvin. And, you know, yeah, Danny was the one that set this up. Here's the thing, though. Sabrina, you're a grown woman. You could have called Calvin yourself or called Bio and just fixed the situation. But here's the thing. You wanted to go on this date with Bio. And I'm not saying she should pick Bio over Calvin or Calvin over Bio, but this goes against like everything that was established at the end of season 3 and early season 4. You know what? We're going to start doing things our way. It doesn't matter what, your girls say about us or anybody says about us. Sabrina is still allowing people to make decisions for her, and what else could you expect? She looked fine as hell though, so I can't be fully mad. All right, so after that, he pretty much just leaves. Calvin leaves, and Sabrina, says, I'll stay for one glass of wine. But then she gets on the phone with Danny, who then tells her, hey, you know what? Get your ass back to that table, because he thinks you're talking with Calvin right now. So, that's actually true, because Bio's like, so how is he? Oh, no, I wasn't talking to her. So, after that, I'll just talk about all the Sabrina and Bio stuff. So it turns out they had a good time, and the date's over. She wants to leave, but he mentions like going out dancing, and he does a great sales pitch about how it's like, don't you feel it like we've met in another life? And then he talks about African culture and whatnot. He's a prince. I mean, let me take you out into town, treat you like a princess. We'll go out dancing. We'll have some fun. Okay, fine. So she goes on that, adventure with Bio. But again, it's kind of like Robin, dude with money, seems like Prince Charming, pun intended, compared to the other guy that she's with. It's interesting that, Sabrina says, well, the Calvin I know isn't like that. The one you saw twice, basically an asshole. Every time these women get called out for the man that they're with, whether it be Andy with Gary or, in this case, Sabrina with Calvin, and to an extent, Zach and Karen, hey, that person's no good for you or whatever. Hey, well, you don't know him the way I know. Whatever. So, we go over to Calvin and Q. Well, actually, Calvin and Maurice, Calvin's pissed off about the date situation. He's ranting about that, and he saw Q at the bottom of the steps. Calvin tells Maurice to let him up just to spend the one night, and Maurice is like, what, to steal all my stuff? Maurice, you ain't got none. It's a pretty nice apartment. I mean, again, I don't know about the color choices, but then again, I don't have the quote unquote queer eye for a straight guy, so I really don't know the whole color coordination or whatnot. I don't care. Basically, Calvin, wow, that was a jerk move. Why would you? I'm not even going to get frustrated. I'm just going to gloss over this. Hey, the guy that robbed me and the one that held you at gunpoint, let's let him stay for the night. Okay? Yeah, let's let him stay for the night. It's about to rain and everything. And then they get into a debate about, you're sweet, blah, blah, sensitive. And then Calvin says he's going out for a drink at a straight bar. And blah, 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 blah. Let me just skip over to the other part of this. So Maurice lets Q in for one night on the sofa. And he brings up the whole gay for pay thing, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. No, thank Calvin, he's the one that told me to let you in. Maybe I should sleep with him. Yeah, tell me how that goes. And we know from episode 17, after a night of drinking, that's exactly what may happen between the two. So from there, he undresses in front of him. That takes, why are we wasting time on this? To go take a shower. Then he goes in there, acts like he can't find the soap and washcloth. Hey, my people say wash rag. I say washcloth, but it is what it is. And the scene in my notes in all caps, it's a scene that drags on and on and on. I don't even want to talk about it. So let's talk about the Zach and Jake stuff. So Zach is out, and this is something interesting that people need to pay attention to. He says, man, I come here like almost every single week, and they love to mess with me. I can't leave because they got my phone. They say they can't find it. Yeah, because I feel like there are specific people, maybe Bill Watts, who's in that jail looking through Zach's phone. I don't know if they're bugging it, maybe looking through his contacts, but they're looking through that phone. And as a result, Jake is going to offer him a ride back to his place and whatnot, but he has to wait for the phone. And he's really having a conversation where he's like, hey, I'm starting to trust you, and just thanks so much for putting the money up for me so I can now give it back to you. And from there, the conversation shifts over to how nice his car is. But here we get some good stuff about Zatima. The fact that Zach still doesn't trust Gary. There's a vibe. And he talks about how, hey, you know what? I've known Gary for 7 years. Yeah, he could be a bit arrogant and an asshole, but that's just to cover his own insecurities. And my girl, Angela, he doesn't say the name, but we know from character synopsis that Angela is the name of Jake's girl. They've been together for a couple of years. And Angela feels the same way as Zach. But eventually, she warmed up to Gary. And, it's just... Look, I know there are those who support Karen and whatnot. But can we just take a moment to appreciate how much Zach lights up when he talks about Fatima and how she makes him feel? Like, I don't think I ever remember Zach looking or giving off that happy vibe whenever it came to Karen, because more often than not, they would have a good moment together, but that was usually, over and done with in less than a few hours. But just look at the way Zach talks about Fatima and how he lights up about their dynamic. And I'm going to tell the truth about this whole baby situation. The baby isn't mine, but this isn't the first baby, I'm dealing with, aka Karen. But in any case, that's pretty much the end of Jake and Zach in this episode. All right, so aside from that, and it's funny because, from there, Zach talks about, I need to get back because, I bet Fatima's going crazy since I'm not there. And then, of course, we get to the scene at the very end where Fatima shows up, busts up Hayden's car, and Hayden is out there pleading his case, and then runs inside of the house. And then, of course, we see Fatima with the bat and seeing Gary and Hayden. And I wonder if the Gary thing is related to the Andy scene, which I will get to in a moment. Don't worry, I'm going to get to the Karen stuff at the very end. We're almost done, believe it or not. So Andy's at the penthouse. And Karen comes up randomly. Basically, she went over to Zach, and I went over to Zach's, and guess what? Fatima pulled up. Heifer, what do you expect? So she needs to tell Zach that a cop is after him, and I don't have any clue why. It's like, and then she just goes on this rant, and this just proves this woman has not changed. All she can do is think the worst about Zach. He's always into some illegal stuff, and what kind of father is he supposed to be to this baby that's in and out of jail all the time? I'm not getting worked up over this. It's just like, as soon as this scene came on, I'm like, I thought the scene would play out where she would probably rant a little bit about the Zach situation, but then also mention the whole going to the hospital the next day or next morning with Aaron. That never came up. Remember, Andy said, hey, let me know when you go to the hospital so I can go with you. I want to be there. That never came up in conversation. Now, you could argue. And I mean, it's funny because Andy's like, hey, let me make some calls and I'll see what I can do. Andy, I already know what's going on. What? I don't need you to look into this. And basically, Andy's phone goes off, and this heifer got the audacity to pick it up and say, hello, Karen, this is not your home, and that wasn't your phone. I mean, I said the same shit about Danny last week doing that to Sabrina, opening her phone and whatnot. But this is just ridiculous. So then it's, I guess the doorman saying, hey, Gary wants to come, Mr. Borders wants to come up. And then, Andy says, send him up. And, Karen's like, fine, you know what? I'll leave. And no. I'll tell Gary to go and I want to talk with you. And Andy is trying to listen. It's funny because you look at it from the perspective of Karen's doing in this episode what Andy was doing over the past couple episodes, going around to her friends, getting advice, and they all give solid advice. It's just that even Andy gives solid advice in this episode. But the thing is, they can never apply some of the sane logic that they're using on their friends to their own relationship dynamics, which makes the show feel stagnant, like it's going nowhere. But guess what? We're still watching this shit anyway because it's intriguing. So, Gary comes up. Hi, Karen. She just leaves cold shoulder. I'm like, well, what can you do? And this scene just drags on because I'm just going to summarize it like this. Andy loves the penthouse. She basically says, hey, I'm going to let I said I'd let Robin stay with me, but hey, you know what? You took all my stuff and moved it here. So penthouse, what can I do? Robin's going to stay with me for a week. And this yet again reinforces the fact that Andy is using Robin as a tool to determine if Gary is really a new person. So Robin is a pawn. Pass it on. From there, he acts like, you know what? I'll put my jealousy aside. I won't be an asshole. I'm tired of the bullshit. Life is short. I'll be a great father. Dude, You got a special needs son with Jasmine who has not been mentioned since the beginning of season 3. And yes, I know that in season 1 it was said that they have children, but then it got reduced to special needs child and that was it. So yeah, you'll be a one hell of a father. So, Andy knows this is all a play to get her back. Like, yeah, I know you're trying to act cool just for the fact of, oh, I want to show Andy I've changed. That way she'll take me back, yada, yada, yada. And then you could just, I ain't gonna lie, KJ is so cute when she does the Andy puppy dog look in her eyes. She's like, well, you could just tell she's eating up what Gary's saying. I mean, it's funny because he starts off with his usual sales pitch and then, but Gary, I've heard this before. And then he says something, oh, wow, you've never said that. So, and then we go from there. Just the same. Look, again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm half-assing the review, but this episode was half-assed, so I feel like it's a fair trade-off. But it's literally the same stuff. She didn't say she would keep the penthouse, but she said she'd sign for a few days. So let's just estimate, hey, I'm going to sign up for this penthouse for like 2 weeks. And that's really about it. She said that she ordered food for their dinner since she didn't cook, and she also wouldn't tell Gary when Robin would be coming. And of course, you know, the wheels in his head are turning. He also, I've never lied to you. Bullshit. And then she's like, what about all those times you said you were going to the gym? Fair. I got a Gary lie counter. If look, there's a long hiatus. Maybe I'll do a video talking about all the times he's actually lied, as opposed, and not that half true shit. I mean, like he flat out lied to Andy. But let's see. That leads into the final scene. And look, I'm going to talk about the Karen and Danny stuff. The final scene, you know, when Fatima goes in there with Hayden and finds Gary. My guess is the fact that Gary is talking with Hayden about the Robin situation, because remember, Gary's putting fuel for the fire for the Zach situation with the insider trading, and then in exchange, Hayden's keeping an eye on Andy at work, also with Robin. So as soon as Robin comes back to work, you know, from there, Hayden can tell Gary that, hey, guess what? Robin's back in town, so it's a good chance he's staying at the penthouse and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. You know, Gary knows what's going down. Not to mention, he probably has leeway with the property owners or managers at Andy's apartment. So as a result, he probably knows who's checking in and out of the penthouse. You know, just saying. Because remember, we never saw the paperwork. You know, Andy was handed it, but she handed it right back. There could be some clause in there that even though everything is in Andy's name, Gary probably has surveillance or whatever, or clearance on who can and can't go to the penthouse. Just remember, this dude is crafty. He isn't a lawyer, but that's why he has Hayden in his back pocket. Alright, so let me just double check real quick, because this was the most aggravating scene of the episode. Mainly because Danny was in top form the entire episode. You know, I will admit she was in top form of this episode, but it just makes me infuriated that Tyler gives Mignon just such trash material when it comes to her dynamic with Preston. It's like she's a freaking guru within the sisters circle, but she just can't take any of her own advice, or at least treat a man right, or at least treat a man the way she tells her girls how a man should treat them. So Karen comes over to Danny, and she's upset about the Zach situation. She just can't let him go. And, you know, the baby is like, you know, hey, this baby is like the reason we're connected and this and that and nah. That just makes me pray to God that A, she isn't pregnant, or B, Zach isn't the father. Because if this woman is acting like this while they aren't even together and the baby isn't even here, she's going to make Miranda and Tracy from House of Pain and how they dealt with Calvin look like a walk in the park, because this is just ridiculous. Thankfully, Karen, for the most part, is speaking for the fan base, even though for the love of, why? Well, then again, okay, in a way, I can see why they're just, okay, hang on. I see why they aren't talking down about Karen, but these women need to keep Zach's name out of their mouths. Hey, I want to find me a piece of paper and I'm going to write down all the shit he's done to you. And DeVal actually put out a tweet last night. Let me pull it up here and read it, because I'm just like, Danny likes to remind Karen of all the bad shit Zach did, but don't ever remind her that she pushed him away after he saved her life. Remember, this happened at the beginning of season 2 when they were in front of all the women. You know, the fact that, what was it? I think Zach and Aaron came over to Sabrina's to bring Karen some fresh clothes, because if I remember correctly, she was still wearing the bloody outfit that she had on when, you know, Bean attacked her and then Zach saved her and whatnot. But regardless, yeah, she got him arrested for no reason, the credit card situation. Most importantly, she chose Aaron before Zach ever met Fatima. Facts. That's what makes Karen just so insufferable, because she moved on when she found Aaron in season 1, because she for sure knows Zach wasn't shit. You know, the fact, oh, she kept saying, it's not about the money, Zach. I need a man to make me feel good. Not just after he comes. I need a man to just be there for me instead of running around with everybody else. And that's a fair assessment. If you go back to season 1, it makes you wonder, why the hell has Karen kept, you know, getting back together with Zach? And then you get to the point where you see Zach as the man you wanted him to be while he was with you, but he's with somebody else, and Danny broke this shit down like a fraction. I feel like I'm going to have to do a video just breaking it down line by line. I want him back the way he is now. He's changed, but he changed for her. He didn't change for you. If you go back to Zach now, it's going to be the same Zach it was when he was with you to begin with. Look, I know it's the hormones talking. No, don't be saying that. And she's probably speaking truth. And it's the fact that she's calling Fatima out of her name. Like, I don't want to see that woman you mean, Fatima. And why y'all so nice with her and whatnot? And I'm just thinking, first of all, show some damn respect. This is Danny's apartment that Preston paid the rent for, but this is Danny's apartment. Just, and then say that bitch Fatima. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. And she's mad that Zach is so happy. And I'm just like, Effa, you were happy with Aaron. And even Danny's like, look, you need to let go of Zach. I'm telling you, you girls came over to me because you want the real talk. You want advice just like Andy. And I'm telling you, let it go. Take some time, spend it, and get to know Aaron. He's a good man. What you're doing is chasing after an illusion, a mirage. You're chasing after a Zach who is the one you want to be with, but he's not the one that's supposed to be with you. He's with somebody else. Some people just aren't a fit, like me and Preston. Let's not even get into that, Danny, because you're speaking some good shit about Karen. And Karen doesn't want to see it. What she say? I'm going to go back over there. I'm going to get Zach back. I want to get him back. This man don't want your ass. Damn. I can't. And that's the episode. That's the episode. But yeah, this is trash. I have nothing else to say, even though I'm probably going to do a bunch of other videos on it, because there's a long break between now and when the show comes back. But as far as I know, there were like 0 promos or anything for the next episode or next half of the season outside of the end credit scene. But let me know your thoughts on the episode. Was I spot on with my review/evaluation? But yeah, that's all I got. So hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit the bell icon to select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel.